Well, you're watching a game, but as you can see, if you look at the little bubble up there, I was sitting on a train and it's pretty noisy, so I'm doing the talking after. But I'm going to do it in time with the real time of the chess game. So we've got e4, and for some reason I did the French defense. Is it the French defense? And I decided to play ultra defensively, ultra compact here. And then just pushing on that d5 because he hasn't got that side knight out, and I can pretty much clear all that out the middle. Simplifying things a little bit. Although that's not usually my plan, to just simplify for the sake of it. I don't take for the sake of taking. And I don't normally have my queen up high like that. But that's why I've left her all those spaces behind, and I am always prepared to have her retreating all the way back. So this is no real threat, this bishop thing he's doing here. I don't know why he did that. And I've got options to get this bishop back. I can fianchetto the queen, sort of. We wouldn't be very far away from checkmate in a way. He wants to get rid of the pawn in front of my king. That's not going to happen in this universe, although when it does, I'm never particularly bothered about it, because I have learned to play when that happens. Now, this is a very dangerous move for him, because there's an instamate looming, and that controls his knight. As you see, the two squares between my bishop and his knight means that my bishop controls all forward movement of his knight. Okay, so the knight retreats back after I push with the pawn, and push again. Lovely open file there. Once again, that knight is controlled by my bishop, my black bishop there. So what do I do next? This is just to stop his knights coming over that side. And now his knight comes that way instead, so we've got the two knights stacked, so I have to effectively stack two bishops with the bishops not available. Using the queen as a bishop, I now stop all forward movement of both knights, but ideally that should be a bishop sitting where my queen is. But you see the principle of that V shape, and that's the V shape that the knight can advance in. Knights advance in a sort of arrow shape, missing out the arrow head. It's well worth having that in your head, clearly. More than one knight advancing at a time is a very, very serious threat in chess. Especially when they're on alternating coloured squares. They cover an awful lot of ground. Don't really see how he thinks he's going to get past that pawn of mine, and I've reduced the threat here a little tiny bit. Of course, once he moves that knight, he can just snap that pawn up with impunity. He outnumbers my queen. Okay, but it's just cumbersome what he's trying to achieve here. That knight's kind of in his own way. That's what I feel. I feel like that knight's in his own way. And now he's put his queen in line with my rook, which is a really foolish thing to do, and I'm trying to work out how to exploit it here with the bishop. This makes sense, just to cover that pawn that his queen's sitting in front of. Not that I need to worry, because as I say, if he moves it... Well, look, now we have the knight. Threatening, just... This is clear signal that he doesn't not know what to do next. If he just attacks some distant pawn with a knight. The last thing you want the knight to be is distant. Plus, it will be en prise if I make his queen move. And it's actually en prise now, but I didn't see it. But I protected the pawn here, so that I can now move that rook of mine. I believe he moved again and his knight was still en prise. Oh no, he's un-en prised it now. Yeah, he must have realised at that point it was en prise, so I didn't get that opportunity. I don't think I saw it though in the game, to be honest. And so now look, I've just got to shore this up. And that's a strong move, but I've got this. And although I can't get the other rook to help, I can bring the king in to defend that quantum there, that pawn. And it will have enough pieces on it that there's nothing he can really do to attack it then. Of course, if he pushes a pawn towards my pawn, I will just shore up a nice V shape there, a nice phalanx, a nice sine wave actually. Sticks his knight onto that square. Bit annoying. But if he captures with the pawn, again he has blocked his own attack. Might not have been the best square. Maybe I should have moved that rook over to the left. so that it was covering still the other pawns. It's going to be difficult now to move that rook from there. So but the queen moves to the square that the rook should have moved to, and then, of course, whoops, he grabs the other rook. I hadn't seen that. But it's actually not that bad for me, because we've had some pawn movements, and you look in front of his king. He has weakened his position very badly with that little pawn movement. You have to be very, very careful about moving pawns. Okay, so he's going to take that pawn with check. That's okay, because I'll parry with the rook. In the meantime, let's continue. This pair of pawns is going to be lethal to him. So he takes. Now I parry. That means he's lost a move, because he's now got to get his queen to safety. He can't deal with the pawns, which gives me more moves to deal with the pawns. And this was great. This is exactly what I wanted. I was hoping he'd do this check rather than deal with the pawns. This gave me lots of time to think about which pawn it was correct to move first. Do I go rook pawn? That's to say the f pawn. Kind of can't think of the word. You know, where you're attacking two pieces at once. The rook and pawn. Or do I just take? I think I came down on the idea that I just take, because if he recaptures it, he can't. If he moves forward, I can capture, and if he moves forward 2 spaces, I can still capture en prise. And it's going to be check in a minute. And unusually, my queen in line with my king is very dangerous. A fork, that's the word I was looking for earlier. But here it's not. It's not dangerous at all, because there's nothing he can... he can't get a rook in front there yet. So this was the right way to do it. See my h-pawn covering the square that his rook would attack my queen on, which could be lethal. But this is double check, you see? This is double check. So he cannot take that pawn. He must simply move the king. And unfortunately, whichever square he moves to, it will be an instamate on the g2 square. Or the g1 square if he moves the king to the right. I could go for. But either way, rather a nasty double check, but quite a nice one for me. There is something really rather wonderful about double check, is you cannot take either of the pieces that is checking. Except with the king you can take one of the pieces sometimes, but not even in this case. So there we had it. That's my running commentary, my tube game.